Good evening, and thanks for taking some time tonight to give me the chance to talk directly with you about the state of our provincial economy and the steps that we can take together to improve our quality of life and increase the confidence in BC families in every corner of our province. Over the last year, I've had a lot of people ask me why on earth we adopted a harmonized sales tax now, and why didn't we talk to people about it before the last election? I'm going to answer that question tonight. I also hear people saying, I'm working a lot harder and I don't feel like I'm getting any further ahead. Tonight, I'll outline some steps that we can take that we think will increase your take-home pay in British Columbia, and that should make a difference to families in every part of the province. And finally, I'm going to talk about our vision for British Columbia and the things that we can do to make sure that our children have all the opportunities they deserve in the years ahead. But let's start with the harmonized sales tax. What changed? For years and years, the business community asked us to level the playing field. Whether it was the forest industry or the mining industry or the energy industry, the film industry, they were actually faced with a PST that kept on hitting them time and time and time again. It was a hidden tax, but it was a tax that gave them a real competitive disadvantage compared to their international competitors. So they asked us to please harmonize our sales tax. Small businesses said to us for years that it was actually two tax systems with two sets of administrative rules, with two sets of compliance, and two sets of auditing procedures, all of which cost them time and money. We said no, we wouldn't harmonize our sales tax. There were two reasons for that. The first is our government has always been concerned about our tax system being a competitive advantage in British Columbia. And if someone else was able to set our taxes, then that put us at a disadvantage. That was one of the things that we had to deal with. Secondly, there was no flexibility in the earlier system. We were facing a situation where we couldn't tailor anything to meet the needs and the special characteristics of British Columbia. So we said no. When we faced the election in the spring of 2009, something took place. We were all part of a global economic meltdown. We were losing revenues. And I actually had a chance to talk with the Minister of Finance about the challenges that we faced as we lost those revenues, which could have undermined not just future opportunities, but certainly immediate services that we had to provide to British Columbians, whether they be health services or public safety services. So I said to Colin Hanson, find out the steps that we can take. Now, you know, and I know, that one of the things that was taking place is Ontario was negotiating a new agreement with the federal government. The two specific concerns that we'd identified in British Columbia with regard to competitiveness, being able to set our own tax rates, and having flexibility in how we applied those were actually taken care of. On top of that, there was $1.6 billion that was available to British Columbians so we could protect our health care, our education, our transportation, our homelessness services. So let me just go through that one more time. We discovered that there was a new ability for us to set our own rate. That's what allowed us to set our HST at 12%, the lowest in Canada. The second thing is we discovered that we could tailor the rate to meet BC's needs, so that in British Columbia, the provincial share of the HST is not applied to motor fuel tax, whereas it is in Ontario. That's just one example. And finally, there was $1.6 billion additional dollars available to support healthcare and education services, transportation services, the whole array of public services that we all depend on that are vital to our quality of life. Here's what's important. We had to make that decision quickly. Now, if I had it to do over again, there's a lot more we would have done after the announcement was made, a lot more information we would have provided to you. And that's one of the things that we'll do over the months ahead as you consider whether you want to continue with the HST or not. But we were faced with a situation where we were told if we don't take the steps in the summer of 2009, we'll lose the opportunity for 2 more years. We felt, and we have always felt, it's important that we be in a competitive position compared to the rest of the country. The new HST provides us with the opportunity to attract investment. In fact, it's been estimated about $11 billion of additional investment. It also provides us with the opportunity for more jobs. And equally importantly today, it secures jobs that are currently available in the forest industry, in the mining industry, in the energy industry, in agriculture, in the film industry. Even today, some of our mills are still operating today because of the HST in the forest industry. We have film activity taking place because of the HST. That's the stories we hear directly. But I know that for some people it still feels like, it's an additional tax to them at a time when they just can't afford it. I had a conversation with one person who runs a small business. He has some trucks in his business. And he said, he was really upset because the HST was adding additional costs for his haircuts. And it does, about 7%. But I pointed to the truck in his lot and I said, you see that truck over there? And he said, yep. I said, you're saving about $5,000 on that truck. And he said, I never thought of that. Those are the things we have to think about as we decide on what's the best decisions for us to make in our economy. Let's remember that the harmonized sales tax doesn't add any cost whatsoever to 80% of the goods and the services that we're used to using in our day-to-day lives. If it was subject to the PST and the GST before, you're paying exactly the same 12% in tax as a harmonized sales tax. If it was exempt from GST, then it's exempt from HST as well. Things like basic groceries, resale homes, prescription drugs, insurance premiums, and legal aid services are just some of the things that aren't subject to the harmonized sales tax. So should we have consulted you more? I sure would have liked to. I sure would have liked to provide you with more information. And this is the start of that tonight. We've got more to do in the months ahead. But what's really important is when you say to me, you deserve a say on something that's important with this, I agree with you. I respect those thousands of people who said they wanted to be part of this decision. So on September the 24th, 2011, you will make this decision. For effectively a day, you'll be the Minister of Finance for the province of British Columbia. And I know British Columbians will think about not just what's best for them, but what's best for our province. What's best for the forest industry, the mining industry, the energy industry? What's best for small business? How do we really build the kind of economy we need that protects the public services that we all depend on? At the end of the day, every finance minister realizes this. It's always about the economy. It is a strong private sector economy that supports our health services and education services. Just look at this graph. You'll see the growth in the costs of government. Literally billions and billions of dollars of added support for vitally important public services that all of us take advantage of. That's been supported by a growing private sector economy. When we were elected, we said we had to have a competitive tax regime that would encourage investment, that would increase job opportunities, that would support those critical public services. In fact, since 2001, we've increased the number of jobs in British Columbia by over 400,000 people. That's 400,000 jobs that are supporting people and their families in all regions of our province. That's an important step, but we're going to have to do more as we go into the years ahead. We're going to have to find ways we can manage the growth in the cost of government, and we can continue to stabilize the support that we provide for services today and encourage more economic growth for the future. That's why we're striving to have one of the most competitive tax regimes anywhere. On January the 1st of 2011, our business income taxes will be the best of any jurisdiction on the continent. And by 2012, small businesses in British Columbia will pay zero provincial income tax on the first $500,000 of their income. That will encourage more job creation, more entrepreneurship, more innovation, and a growing economy. We have to do more, though. We have to actually reach to the families of British Columbia and make sure that they have a sense of confidence in their future as well. When families have confidence, it builds community confidence. When communities have confidence, it actually increases the opportunities that we have for the whole province. And that makes a difference to all of us. On the first day that we took office, we provided British Columbians with a 25% reduction in their personal income tax. We did that for a couple of really important reasons. Number one, we know how hard you work to earn your dollars. And we think you make better choices about how to spend those dollars than the government can. You all want to have critical services, but the individual issues that you face as a family, it's better for you to choose where you want your dollars to go. So we wanted to make sure that your take-home pay started to grow in British Columbia. That actually generated an awful lot of economic activity throughout the province. And it increased the number of choices that you could make, the way that you could decide what was best for your family. We think we have to continue with that. We also recognize that for lower income British Columbians, it's really important that we take no more than is absolutely essential out of their paychecks. I was raised by a school secretary, a single mom on a school secretary's salary, and 4 kids. I can remember what she felt like as she went from paycheck to paycheck to try and make sure that we had all the things that we needed so that we could live the kind of life that she wanted for each of us. And pressure would mount every single month as we got closer to the end of that paycheck. Well, British Columbians are feeling that way in every part of the province today. Young couples are feeling like, they're going paycheck to paycheck, and it's not that they're doing anything excessive, it's just that the cost of living keeps on eating away at what they're doing. So what we have to do is start by saying, how do we take care of those young couples? How do we take care of those lower income British Columbians? And it's not just income taxes that you deal with, it's a whole array of issues that we have to deal with. If we want to make sure that our province continues to be a great place for everyone to live, we have to start there. And we have. If you're a minimum wage earner, you actually pay 0 provincial income tax. If you're a seniors couple that earns $40,000, we've actually cut your provincial income tax since 2001 by 100%. That leaves over $900 in your pockets for you to decide what's best for you. We think that's the way it should be. We also have a new rent supplement program which helps stabilize housing for lower income British Columbians. We have special subsidy programs for childcare so people can stay in the workplace if they decide to do that. We have reduced MSP premiums. We make sure that their pharmacare costs have been lower, and we've included families in those reduced pharmacare costs as well. All of those are steps that are important to make sure that every British Columbian knows that their life is part of our economic future.